Yuto admired adventurers and poured everything into following that path. With a weary body after losing all reason, he kept pushing on. Even after his heart faded, he clawed toward greatness as an adventurer. That is, until he got run over to death by a dragon. The birds chirped and the sun shone over a quiet village. There, a young boy watched as his mother left him and his sister to do errands. Told to watch Lily, Yuto obediently smiled. With his parents and sister, he's lived a peaceful 5 years in his backwater town. There weren't a lot of problems, and he was free to dream like any other child. For some reason, he suddenly forgot what his hopes and goals were. His eyes grew heavy as he tried to remember it. A long time ago, he was much older and sat in an empty white space, wondering what happened to him. Moving his limbs around, he looked up and was stunned to see an enormous dragon sitting before him. The beast with pearly white scales bore down on him, and he couldn't help but stand and back away in fear. Wondering if it devoured his soul as well, he reaches for something behind him, but feels nothing on his palms. The man curses and remembers that the creature ran him over just moments ago. Now, he has no weapon to defend himself with. To his surprise, the dragon suddenly began speaking. It profusely apologized, saying she didn't notice him while chatting with the wind spirits. The light voice stuns him, and the humble dragon bowed in regret, admitting that this mishap was her fault. Seeing his confusion, she introduces herself as the Saint Dragon and, as compensation for the trouble, grants him a fragment of her power in his next life. As his soul is bestowed with the blessing of the holy attribute, Yuto feels a light and pure energy flow through his body. Lying down in the middle of a vast plain, Yuto looked to the sky, wondering if it really has been 40 years since he was reincarnated. When he did, he found that he possessed the holy and wind attributes, on top of his usual fire. It's extremely rare for someone to have 3 attributes, as these directly correspond to one's affinity to various gear and weapons. In other words, he could wield power way beyond his supposed stats. He thinks about it now and sighs in regret and resignation. Despite the potential of his life, he never really made it big in this life either. He believed himself destined for greatness, and vowed to make a name as an adventurer. Now, he's 40 and homeless, a starkly different future everyone expected of him. There was no point in brooding over it now, so he stood up to get along with his pitifully mundane life. It was still a long way to go until he could reach the town on foot. While he was wondering if he should set up a camp for the night, he felt a strong breeze. Suddenly, a bunch of birds sped past him from behind, making him turn around to see what was going on. To his surprise, a gigantic black dragon was barreling right towards him, and it was already too late to do anything. He could only stare in shock. An instant later, he found himself in an uncannily familiar place. The impact didn't hurt, and it's as if there was no sensation at all. Feeling like he's been there before, he looked around to find the colossal beast in front of him. It's the black dragon that ran him over. As he cursed and wondered what he was going to do, he noticed the creature staring at him. Like before, it suddenly apologizes sheepishly, saying she didn't see him while flying around. Yuto is confused as to why the dragon is speaking like some flashy girl. Pushing through, she decides to pair her apology with a little boost to his power, and encourages him to forgive him and start a fresh new life. She remembers to introduce herself as the Dark Dragon, and proceeds to bless his soul with the darkness attribute. While accepting the power, he wonders if there's ever been a human with 5 attributes. Just like she said, he gained the rare attribute when he was reincarnated, even getting the water attribute as an additional bonus. His previous 3 stayed intact, meaning he was born with strength beyond measure. The crowd cheered, and their excitement soared with him at the center. They called him a prodigy, a hero reborn, so to speak. To fulfill their expectations, he ignored women and threw himself into intense training. With 5 attributes and hard work to boot, it should be impossible for him to not achieve greatness, or so he thought. Now, much older, he found himself in the exact same situation, facing a new dragon that ran his pitiful life through. Yuto mentions how rare it is for lightning to strike twice, and goes on a full rant about the misfortune associated with all his lives. The dragon agrees that Yuto must somehow be cursed to be run over in 3 lifetimes. Like the others, she apologizes and admits that she wasn't watching where she was going. It's only a fraction of her power, but she grants it to him. His fist shook in frustration as she wished his next life well. Looming over him, her terrifying facade faded away, and she introduced herself as the Chaos Dragon, etching the attribute of chaos in his soul. Just like that, he successfully collected all attributes in the world. Beyond the 4 basic elements, he has the Holy Element, which only 1 in 100,000 humans can bear, the Dark Element, found only among a few demi-humans, then the Chaos attribute, meant only for items and never to be wielded by humans. Not even the gods themselves have access to all existing elements. This means that with all those combined, he must have gained power rivaling that of the gods. Back in his current life, Yuto throws the ridiculous idea away from his mind. 3 lifetimes taught him that his base stats and growth are abysmally low. It's as if his very soul is defective enough to ruin his lives. Despite this, no matter what the universe says, he still refuses to give up on being an adventurer. It's honestly purple stubbornness at this point, as he's chased that hopeless dream for multiple lifetimes already. It's possible that he's cursed to die at the hands of dragons, but he's still determined to make his pipe dream come true and make it big. However, the cruel fate and reality continues to hit him. Yudo just doesn't have what it takes to become an adventurer. As such, he'll change his goal and become an item enhancer instead. If it's already decided that he'll live a life of a weakling, then he'll just make up for it with unparalleled items. That said, just using stronger weapons will likely still end the way it did with his past lives. Fire enchantment boosts attack, while water grants auto-healing armor. He continues to add elements including wind, earth, holy, and dark. The chaos attribute becomes the final touch. With this, he can forge weapons, armor, and gear that no one else can make. Having mastered all attributes, he'll refine his skill until it's truly his, and live a life of endless possibilities. This time, he'll actually use his full potential and rise as a real adventurer. Opening his horizons, he even hopes to catch a girl or two. The Chaos and Saint Dragons were already speaking to each other when the Dark Dragon came flying in. They watched as she landed gently, and laughingly praised herself. They haven't been waiting for too long, and just got there themselves recently. While the Divine Dragons caught up with each other, Chaos says she has a question to ask. Having called for them, she asks if either of them ran over a human and had him reincarnate. With the question directed to them, they think hard and recall a vague memory from years ago, and share that they did and bestowed the victim with their attributes after. Recollection starts from her prompting. It's been about 80 years for Saint, and 40 for Darkness. Hearing them, Chaos says the human must really be unlucky. Curious if he's actually cursed, some actually took a look at Arita's next life. He was granted several blessings as compensation for their mistakes, but there's already a problem before that. Apparently, his soul was destined to be a low stat, and even his potential for growth is stunted. This is the reason why 3 lifetimes all amounted to nothing, despite being empowered. They realized that it was foolish to consider their blessings enough. After ending his life, they forced 2 more miserable ones onto him. After gaining several attributes, he became too confident and rushed toward his doom. As beings akin to gods, the Divine Dragons can't just ignore such a huge blunder. Chaos wonders what they can do, as they can only bless a person once anyway. That said, it's once per lifetime, meaning reincarnation resets the times they can do it. They wonder what to give him this time as soon as they hear this loophole, but it's already too late. What's more, Chaos is an attribute ill-fit for humans, so Saint and Darkness wonder what to give on their own. It's better to think it through since he's just been born, and wait until he's older. There's also the issue of frightening him if they show up in their dragon forms. Turning human prevents them from turning back for a while, and limits their powers drastically. Nonetheless, the thought of living in a human town again excited the both of them. Their happiness leaves Chaos feeling left out, realizing that breaking the once-in-a-lifetime rule sounds fun. After getting run over by dragons in 3 lifetimes, Yudo ended up mastering all 7 elements. With 0 talent as an adventurer, the best option is to become an item enhancer. Still, he should keep the fact that he has all attributes a secret from others. His plan would go down the drain if people would force him to become an adventurer again. Having this in his mind, he looks to his small village, which was right in the middle of nowhere, and concludes that being reborn in a backwater town was a blessing. What's more, no one there has the appraisal skill, meaning there's no chance he can be found out. The boy has lived a pretty carefree life so far, and it's about time he starts thinking about his future seriously. To become a true craftsman, he first has to learn the item enhancement skill. Obtaining skills requires gathering and trading skill points, and the cost varies per person. He remembers a memory from a long time ago. He told a priest about his dream of becoming an enhancer, and was told about how costly it is to even get his first skill. Fortunately, his affinity is pretty high, so the grind to get SP won't be that terrible. At least C rank is required to be a professional, meaning he'll need 6,500 skill points. Right then, his mother came out of their home and asked if he finished sorting the wild herbs. As even just daily life tasks like this earns a person points, he can focus on building his points up bit by bit, until he has enough. At this pace, he could unlock his first skill by the time he's 10 years old, and hit D rank when he's 15 just like that. When he reaches that age, he'll be able to move on to a bigger town where he can take up apprenticeship until he becomes C rank, then finally go independent. A rank will eventually become a reality, and this is when his true battle will begin. As he smugly went on with his plan, a voice called to the young man. A beautiful but oddly familiar woman appeared, and apologized for startling him out of nowhere. Stunned by the unexpectedly gorgeous sight, he's told that he looked troubled, so she couldn't help but check in. Yudo bashfully denies it, unable to admit that he was daydreaming about his sparkling future. It's odd, but she thinks that he must be worrying about his future. While he wondered if she's a bit of an airhead, she suddenly came close and pulled him into a warm embrace. She hugs him tighter, patting his head and assuring him that it will all be okay. He couldn't do anything but blush and enjoy the moment. Unable to move, he wondered what was happening and if he was being rewarded for something. For some reason, he suddenly started to get really drowsy. The woman vaguely reveals herself as the Divine Dragon, who can bless a human only once in her lifetime. Since Yudo has been reborn, the Saint Dragon considers it an exception and blesses him again. As she wishes him a good life this time around, he still struggles to understand what she's saying, and is asked to forget about their reunion, which floats and disappears like a bubble. Just like that, he drifts off into a deep slumber and later wakes up in the middle of nowhere. The boy props himself up, questioning why he was sleeping there. He remembers helping his mother when he came across an odd person. More than that, he recalls the flawless future plan that he mapped out. Needing to learn the enhancement skill, he takes a look at his status window for now and sees the total amount of skill points there are. It's a great number that makes him cheer, but he notices something odd and starts counting. To his shock, he finds that he gained 100,000 points in a single day, meaning he's already far surpassed his goal. He calms himself down for now. It might just be a dream, so he decides to go home and rest for the time being. Yuto does just that and welcomes the new day. Surprisingly, it wasn't a dream, and the amount of skill points he has is still absurdly high. He then snuck into the church, hoping to learn his skill, while the priest wasn't there. The only person there was an old woman who was dozing off. Learning a skill usually requires a ritual, but there's fortunately a tool that helps with that. The only problem is that it displays his status to anyone there, so he has to be careful. He starts off by learning the actual skill. After pressing a few buttons here and there, a loud noise pings in response to his choices. This makes him urgently turn to the old lady, who was fortunately still asleep despite the sound. It was close, but the skill was properly added to his status. Since it's currently at E rank, he moves on to level it up as much as possible, but is shocked to find that he can raise it all the way to S rank. It's unthinkable, especially for someone who's just 5 years of age. Just then, the old lady suddenly woke up and greeted the boy a good morning. Uncle Tom praised Yuto for his unexpected talent and determination. Now 10 years old, the boy helps the dwarf repair and upgrade farm equipment. His kind's dream is to forge something from 0 to 10, unlike the other amateurs who only aim to improve something that's already there. Even a dwarf needs time to create from nothing. As such, he left the village to chase his dream, honing his skills from one workshop to another. He hit a wall as he unfortunately only had one element to his soul, and it's something that can't be overcome with sheer effort alone. Lily suddenly comes jumping in, and is scolded for doing something so dangerous in the workshop. Not minding, Yuto asks why someone can't be good by just maxing out one element. Nobody would struggle in their world if it was that simple and easy. For example, stacking earth enchantments on a stick won't make it as strong as steel. Every item has a fixed number of enhancement slots, and it's dependent on the craftsmanship. Stronger items come with more slots, and separates real forgers from the rest. More slots means more potential upgrades, where one is allowed to attach a separate attribute to boost the equipment. Yuto argues that one can just use the appraisal skill to see how many slots there are. This is not exactly true, as the skill lets the user read the status of people and objects. While the enhancements applied can be seen, the number of slots will remain hidden. In other words, it comes down to knowledge, experience, and a craftsman's pure intuition. Tom slyly smiles, adding that there's actually a way to know the exact number of slots. The answer is the analysis skill, which every enhancement specialist dreams of having. Later, walking around the forest, Yuto thinks about the skill that reveals the true essence beyond the normal appraisal skill. He then sees a sandal on the ground and wonders if someone left it by mistake. Since he's already there, he decides to give the ability a shot before heading home. A window pops up and he tinkers around with his skill points, but he still can't see how well the footwear has been enhanced. Sighing, he tosses it away in disappointment. With the analysis skill, he'd be able to see both the enchantments and slots as clear as day, so it's something he desperately wants. Unfortunately, it's a unique skill that can't be obtained, and a person has to be born with it. Acquisition is nearly impossible, unlike the abilities that can be picked up from a common church. Sometimes, extremely rare items are needed to get such things. He now faces another wall, but it's all the more reason to try and go for it. Armed with an S-rank enhancement skill, adding analysis would make him unbeatable as a craftsman. Just like that, he decides to add an extra milestone towards his goal. Since he doesn't know how to get it yet, he'll have to gather information first. However, his first step for greatness is interrupted by a light and familiar voice. He turned with a frown, saying he was in the middle of an epic moment. A bold-looking lady appeared, saying she knows that he has something in his mind. His frown disappears and is replaced by a look of awe, not knowing where the gorgeous girl came from. With one look, she notices something about him. Coming close, the lady questions why he has tens of thousands of skill points. Seeing his S-rank skill, she realizes that someone must have gotten there before her. Yuto freezes from the sudden read, and wonders how she could possibly know, and realizes that she has appraisal. As she correctly guesses that he must dream of being an enhancement artisan, she gladly decides to help him out with this goal. The boy is shocked and caught off guard when she suddenly pulls him in to place her lips on his. While he turns beet red from the contact, she just smiles at the innocent young man. He nearly passes out, as he was never lucky with women throughout all 4 lives. Considering it her gift to him, she says it must have been difficult in the past, and hopes for a better life this time around. The message doesn't really reach him with his head still spinning, so she decides to help him forget the entire encounter. Shushing the boy, she tells him to keep their meeting a secret between them. Like before, Yuto falls fast asleep and wakes up some time later, wondering what just happened. He's back to where he found himself last time, and guesses that he must have been exhausted from helping out. Finding the sandals he tossed around, he recalls practicing and never really figuring out if it worked. If only he had analysis, then he should be able to check how its upgrade turned out. The slots would show themselves to him, just like they are now. He freezes for a moment, making sense of what was being seen by his eyes. He swipes around, knowing he normally shouldn't be able to see such a thing. The boy throws it away to check his status window this time, and sees a brand new analysis skill on one of the slots. It was creepy enough to make him question what happened in his sleep. He'd normally have killed for an S-rank skill that's so rare. Still doubting it, he takes the sandal again for another experiment. In addition to the slots, he sees other details about the items, including it now turning into the sandals of the Holy Spirit. All the enhancements he made are recorded properly, and based on the name, it's been charged with the holy attribute. While Yuto was completely engrossed in the experiment, Lily appeared to ask what he's doing. He's taken by surprise by the sister who came to get him since he wasn't coming home. Thanking the little girl, he heads home to have dinner, already thinking about testing analysis later on. Yuto sighs, exhausted by the eventful day. Having rested and showered, it's now time to take a closer look at his skills. He summons the sandal's status again and sees a special effect. Because of the holy attribute, it now nullifies curses and restores health while walking. The automatic effects are amazing, and the item might actually be usable if he repairs the main body. For now, he starts by enhancing the half-baked slot he noticed earlier. Since only the same element can be applied, he moves this around to his liking, trying a couple things out. After finalizing his choices, he casts the enhancement. It's curious as the improvements are a bit smaller than he expected, albeit more practical than before. Nonetheless, he smiled in delight, completely pleased with himself. Now that he thinks about it, even the same material, the slot count of an item can vary. He takes the other sandal and is surprised to see that it's imbued with the dark attribute. It can't be removed once worn, and deals damage with each step taken. In other words, it's a terrifying curse. That said, wearing both sandals might actually have it break even. There aren't any slots left, so he can't neutralize the dark attribute either. Yuto snuffs his candle out, glad that he at least gained analyze through sheer luck. All that's left now is knowledge and experience to back it up. 5 years later in springtime, the boy was now 15, and it was finally the day of his departure from home. He left the village where he was born and raised, dreaming of receiving high-level training in the city. Both his parents wished him well, reminding him to never lose sight of his goal. As he promises to do his very best, the village chief asks him to take something. The pouch of money is a small farewell gift, which he's told to use wisely. It isn't much, but everyone pitched in, and it should be enough to support him for a week in the city. The boy is stunned by their sentiments. Barely stopping himself from tearing up, he thanks everyone and vows to come back stronger. With this, he heads off for the next chapter of his life. This is the first time he's received so much kindness across all 4 lives. For everyone in the village, he'll make sure to achieve his dreams. Despite this, he can't deny that it's lonely to be away from them. He was planning on leaving the town sooner or later anyway. Tom comes to his mind, as he didn't expect the dwarf to be that skilled. Yuta's list of enhancement recipes is painfully short. All his practice was on random farm tools, and he only ever battled raccoons in the woods. Heading to the city makes sense if he really wants to make it big. He has some weapons and money, but no real armor to protect himself. As such, he used his skill points to raise his health and magic as much as possible. There's only one thing he regrets now, and that's Lily. He had hoped that she'd come to see him off, at least until the end. The sun was about to set, and the boy thankfully managed to reach the next town before it got dark. While he won't have to camp outdoors, he still can't afford to waste the money he has. In fact, even a stable will do since he just has to sleep. Just then, someone called to him. It's the third strange lady, who approached and said that he seemed to have something on his mind. The woman is right to think that Yuto is busy, but who is she to know? Another look at him surprises her, and the Chaos Dragon realizes that she's probably the last one to get to the boy. Observing even closer, she reads through her peers' blessings. There's only one thing left to give, although it requires quite a particular ritual. Talking to herself without explaining stuff to him, she steals her resolve on her own. As performing the ritual there would be unbecoming, she takes his hand and drags him away. To his surprise, he's brought to an inn before he could do anything, and to make things worse, she asks for the best room using the little funds he has. While she scanned the room, the boy wept as his money was used for a room with 1 bed. Yuto screams in bewilderment as she presents her body and tells him to do the same. Apparently, they have business to attend to, and this is how they have to be. She's already granted him power before, and it's time to do it again. Placing herself over him, the dragon says they must form a direct bond for her to give a second gift. While she can only offer the knowledge of her predecessors, she'll bestow him with the knowledge of the world. With all 7 elements gathered, he'll uncover unknown forms of enhancement. Unfortunately, the most glorious night he'll have will disappear from his memory. Saying she's also new to this kind of thing, they start slow. Yuto wakes up the next morning with a loud sneeze. Shivering, he looks for the clothes he slept without, and is completely confused as to why he's in such a big room. Getting a bad feeling, he confirms that the funds everyone chipped in to gather had nearly been cut in half. He suddenly feels something odd, and remembers that the last time something like this happened, his SP and skills had gone up. Hopeful that it happened again, the young man quickly scans through his status window, but finds that it's completely mundane. There was nothing different. His stats are still pathetic, and there weren't any new skills. Just then, his eyes and mouth widens as he sees Enhancement Compendium on the screen. Based on the item recipes, it's a transform anytime kind of skill. There are tons of recipes registered, although nothing really rings a bell to him. He decides to test it out since he was planning on upgrading his weapon anyway. As he was leaving the village, he was given a sword that was once donated to the church, although his best bet would be to run. After all, his stats are quite low for his age group and his body is relatively frail. He was thankful, but the comment about his body still haunted him. Using analysis on the old blade, he studies the stats and confirms that it's in pretty beat-up shape. Item health works the same as humans, and can break at any time once it reaches 0. Performance indicates how effective it is when used properly. Durability refers to hardness and endurance, supporting health. Magic efficiency boosts special attack power or resistance. The weapon has 2 slots for upgrades, and to keep it simple for now, he starts off and enhances basic stats with fire. He's surprised to find that the post-upgrade stats are now visible to him. Flame Slash is a slash attack, but one with lousy magic efficiency. In other words, better luck next time. Enhancing the sword would only make it semi-decent, but Yudo still takes a look. Certain opposing elements cancel each other out, and might lead to negative effects. Meanwhile, Chaos is an unknown realm, as neither humans nor demi-humans can possess it. Applying this attribute ends with an unknown effect at a very high cost of MP. Since enhancing gives experience and SP to balance it out anyway, he decides to go through with the repair. To his shock, its stats drop drastically. The copper sword is now dull, and is now named a self-destruct sword. The stats are down, and the weapon will completely shatter upon use. It will even consume user HP to deal damage, which might be good for one finishing strike, but even the power is low. Chaos seems like a junk element now, but what if it's combined with another attribute? He goes wild and tests it out for fun. A smile lights up as he sees the stats increase. It's much stronger than combining 2 fire slots, and it looks cooler too. This means that Chaos only shows its true power if combined with another element. Pairing fire makes sense tactically, and is best if he wants to make something flashy. To test the dark attribute next, he decharges the fire-off weapon and proceeds with the enhancement right away. The weapon flashes bright until it turns pitch black from top to bottom. Even the aura surrounding it was now wicked and evil, and the classification has turned into a cursed blade. The sword itself is A rank, and carries a costly C rank toxic slash. With weak monsters in the forest, even a low-level boy like him should breeze through. As such, he heads out to test the equipment himself, but it's the first time he'll be swinging a sword. Considering how high its stats are, he should be able to cut through a rock. Yudo hopes for the best, and swings with all his might. It hits the target, but he feels the reverberation spread throughout his body. It's painful enough to make him shake his hand, but the large rock doesn't even have a single crack on its entire body. That said, the main cause might actually be the garbage stats of his soul. Panicking, he decides to reinforce some armor to keep himself safe. A pot lid is all he has, but it should amount to something. It's something given by Tom, who told him to chuck it at a monster if he has to escape. The result shouldn't be too bad if he enhances its slots with earth attributes. Unfortunately, the main body is made of weak wood, and it only has 1 slot, ruling Chaos out. Wind barely raises its stats, although a flight effect allows him to throw it farther. What's more, he can actually aim where it lands. He launches it at a tree, where the lid cuts a fruit off a branch up high. The effect is surprising, and it's so useful that he considers favoring the enchantment over the others. It seems Tom's advice might become reality after all. Finally done with his enhancements, he moves to the point where monsters start to show. The other dragons judge Chaos for the indecent thing she did, now calling her Colas. She tells Saint, now named Sarah, to stop yelling so loudly, adding that she had no choice but to grant Yudo power, through a direct connection. Dalk notes that a divine being like her, losing her purity, causes a lot of paperwork. The effects are minor for now, and the worst case is that she can't return to her original body. It's an insanely serious repercussion, but she's way too carefree as she always is. Even so, inventing an entirely new skill for the boy is blatant favoritism. She argues that it's something she made, for an old man who passed her trial a century ago. On the contrary, it might be Dalk who overloaded him by boosting his analysis skill. She's more than satisfied, especially if he's happy. Despite her looks, she sounds like a loving mom who's doting over her kids. She asks if Sarah is regretting not giving him anything grander than she did. Blessings are usually non-consumable, but it's good that she gave him free will. The holy attribute is the one handed out the most among the 3, but is still pretty valuable. Now, she's wondering if there's anything left for him to use. She can't grant him more god-tier blessings, but she can stay close to lend a helping hand. With the holy dragon satisfied with her plan, Dalk says she's heading off now. The 2 of them are asked what they've been doing in their human forms recently. Raising a brand new weapon, the Dragon of Darkness shares that she's an adventurer now. She's way weaker in this form, but that actually makes it more fun for her. It's a career path that surprises Sierra, who then asks Colas what she's been doing in her own time. The Chaos Dragon hasn't done anything, but has her eyes set on becoming an alchemist. This only means that they'll both be handling weapons, gears, and dangerous items. Not caring much about it, they leave and start to walk away from the Holy Dragon, who recognizes that the direction they're headed to is the town Yuto is in. While she whines about them cheating, a familiar blue-eared girl was somewhere else in the forest. She turned immediately after sensing a monster lunging in to strike. Like a seasoned warrior, Lily's body reacts and she spins to plant a deep kick into the snake's body. Landing and studying the ground for tracks, she notices something else. Just nearby, the earth shook, as an enormous troll wandered through the land. Yuto continues to wander through the forest, and it's been 3 days since he last left for the next village. The walking was endless, but he could only hope to get through the woods before nightfall. He suddenly feels a strange and violent shaking from the ground, making him wonder if there's a huge monster approaching. There shouldn't be any huge beasts around the area, but he should at least be able to handle small creatures with the cursed sword. A rabbit appeared, but not a normal one. A bunch of cannibal rabbits hopped out of the bushes, running away in a pack, as if they're afraid of something. In fact, they look so terrified that they don't even seem to notice him. Things turned worse as even the flocks of birds flew high from the trees. Whatever they're running away from, it was headed straight to where he is. Just then, Lily came bursting out of the woods in tears. Her screaming stops as their eyes meet for the first time in a long while. She crashes into her older brother and continues to wail while on top of him. He didn't expect to see her at all. The girl is a wolfkin, descendant of the Azure Great Wolf, and one of a rare lineage. When Yuto was 3, his mother found a male wolfkin and a baby, who later died in her care. They took the baby in as their own family, and she then grew to be the Lily they know today. Still under her, he questions what she's doing all the way there. After he talked about leaving the village, she wanted to go after him the entire time, and followed him secretly, knowing he wouldn't allow her to join his adventure. Since they're already there, he pats her head assuringly, just glad that she isn't hurt. He was actually worried that she didn't come to see him off, because she was mad. Their reunion is cut short as the monster she was running from appears, tearing through the forest with its sheer size. In front of them was a level B hump ogre, looming over as if wondering what to do. Yuto froze from the unexpected enemy. After all, what was a B-class monster doing there of all places? With no time to think, he takes the cursed blade and stands to protect his sister. Even if it's a high-level monster, he still has his magic sword to help him fight. His confidence and hope fades away as it raises its arm with a roar. Fortunately, he spent 3 lifetimes as an adventurer and was no rookie. He uses the enhanced lid and uses it as a vehicle to fly away from the monster's attacks. It cost him a bit of mana, so he has to do something substantial. It'll just catch up easily even if he runs away. Hearing it roar again, he tells Lily to stay there for a moment and charges in to take the enemy down to the best of his abilities. The ogre had pretty thick defenses on its body. With the cost and effects of Yuto's attack, he only had 1 shot, so he had to land it for sure. The young man flies with his enhanced shield, using it to maneuver around the enemy's attacks and reach a vital spot. He activates the Pitch Black's blade-only ability and unleashes the Toxic Slash on the Class B monster. This causes a huge explosion in the forest. The gods bestowed the land with many gifts, and one of the blessings to the world is the HP system. As long as a person's HP isn't 0, they won't die, but will still feel pain or numbness. Only when it hits 0 will they truly get hurt. In fact, they can even die from a fall in this state. HP exists in people, demi-humans, or equipment, but not in normal plants or animals. Yuto falls to the ground hard after his risky attack. Wincing in pain, he looked up to check on his status, and found that his HP was fortunately still at 7 points. Lily ran to her brother full of worry and asked if he was okay. Even he's surprised that he's okay, and wonders what happened to their main enemy. With a huge hole in its body, its HP was now down to 0 points. Although it was still standing, just 1 more push was needed to send it over the edge. Then again, he's out of mana and won't be able to do anything if it decides to continue its assault. He then orders his little sister to charge and finish it off. Doing as told, she rushed forward and spun. To their surprise, she uses a heel kick empowered with ice magic, and the impact is so strong that the monster's head is knocked back. Its body crashes to the ground with a loud thud. Lily looked like a formidable adventurer, and she had impressive skills and stats to back it up. The 2 siblings were cheering and celebrating their win, when the ogre's body suddenly flashed and faded. A small ball of light replaced its enormous body and called to the adventurers. It seems to have dropped loot, so the girl rushes off to collect their reward. The light pops in her palms and reveals a vial, supposedly containing a cursed liquid inside. Oblivious to its contents, she asks if her brother wants to drink it. The ogre fluid comes from the monster's hump and curses the consumer with stomachache. While being healed, Yuto asks if the younger one snuck away without telling their parents. She surprisingly told them properly that she'd be going off with her older brother. They just let her go, more than happy that their children were going to be together. Parting with the village was undeniably tough, but they must have allowed her to come along, after confirming that she's strong enough to do so. As the 2 happily went away together, Delk watched from the shadows of the trees. She smiled, impressed by the performance of the rookie. She almost stepped in when she saw the ogre earlier, but the two seemed to be much more capable than she expected them to be. With a reliable ally like Lily beside him, she should be able to relax for now. It'll be a bit lonely on her part, but if she continues following them like she is, Sarah would probably whine and complain about things being unfair. Still, it won't be favoritism if she just takes down any monsters that come across her path. Just like that, another day passed. The siblings cheer that they didn't run into monsters while going to town. Lily complains that she's feeling hungry, so they head to a tavern to eat first. The server welcomes them, and Yuto orders 2 meals with milk and water. He also fetches another gold coin and asks for a favor later. The woman smirks at him and praises his manners. She agrees and promises to chat while she brings them their food, warning that it can get noisy since it's a busy day. As if on cue, 3 unruly customers laugh boisterously, not caring about the other patrons. An old man across from him advises him to ignore the 3 so they won't spoil his night. The 3 look so cheerful that he wonders if they've got big loot. The old man explains that they are wandering adventurers from Zexheim who sold healing potions. Curious, he asks if the said potions are for monster attacks or a plague. The man replies that the mayor's daughter was cursed, and they sent someone to get a healing potion, but he hasn't come back yet. Their food finally arrives, and Lily drools at how scrumptious it looks. With lots of food on the table, Yuto asks if it's okay. The woman assures him that it was all included in the service fee and proceeds to ask what he wants to know. She then pulls a chair beside him, ready to hear him out. With enthusiasm, Yuto asks for tips about going to Zexheim to become an item enhancement craftsman. She finds this interesting since she hasn't heard of an item enhancement specialist in Zexheim, which is mostly a destination for adventurers. With this, he asks if there are any local rumors worth hearing in town. The woman thinks for a while and remembers that there was a newly discovered dungeon. Yuto cheers up upon hearing this, but the woman adds that someone went in recklessly and went missing. Now, the guild is organizing a search party, and this shifted the attention from the mayor's daughter's curse. As she's explaining, the unruly adventurers rudely call for another round of drinks. Before she leaves, Yuto offers more gold coins to her as a tip for the useful information and delicious meal. He then helps her carry the drinks to the next table. The adventurers' mood lights up upon seeing their drinks and they cheer to it. They gulp the drinks straight up and find them very pleasing. Yuto smiles at them and comments that it will finally quiet down. Lily asks why that is while eyeing the adventurers slowly falling asleep. Yuto slyly tells her that it's their fault for drinking too much, but the reality is he enhanced their booze to speed things up. But tomorrow's hangovers will be deadly. It seems to be a waste of SP, but at least for the time being, they can eat in peace. After finishing everything on their table, the siblings are about to go back to their lodging to take a rest when Yuto remembers to pay a quick visit to the mayor's place. Meanwhile, in the mayor's mansion, a room is illuminated only by a single candle. In bed lies a person, unmoving and bulging. A woman is running away from something dark following her. She tries her best to get away, but eventually it catches up to her. Meanwhile, Yuto and Lily finally arrive at the mayor's mansion. They appreciate its beauty, but feel creeped out as well. Seeing worry in his sibling, he assures her that it will be quick. He gently knocks on the door, saying they're passing travelers. He then looks at the potion he's holding, hoping it will help break the curse. It is the Ogre Water, a special drink which can break curses, if he blesses it based on the encyclopedia he read. Since it's his first time using it, it sounds promising and hopefully can offer at least relief from the curse. However, the tricky part is that no one knows what kind of curse the mayor's daughter is suffering from. He tried to investigate it, but the entire town has no clue. As he contemplates which curse she is inflicted with, the butler opens the door and welcomes them in. While waiting for the mayor, he realizes that they must be desperate enough to put the fate of their daughter in the hands of strangers. Just then, the door bursts open and Mayor Tomas rushes in, confirming if they're the ones going to heal his daughter. Suddenly, his shoulders start shaking, and he begins crying uncontrollably in front of them. He begs them to help his poor daughter and break her curse. He then brings them to the back room where she is resting. He also offers to pay him handsomely as long as he can guarantee his daughter's healing. However, he warns them that his daughter's curse can never be spoken of and threatens to end him if he spreads it. Yuto is starting to regret his decision to help but lets the mayor bring them to the room. They stop at a huge door and Tomas slowly opens it. Inside the dark room lies the cursed daughter. The siblings have to squint their eyes to adjust to the dim lighting. As they adjust, Yuto is shocked by what he sees. Tomas explains that since his daughter returned from the north, her condition has worsened. He then reiterates that they should never spread the news of her condition. Yuto slowly steps closer to the mayor's daughter, and Lily tries to cling to him. When he gets a closer look at her, he can't even decipher her condition. Lena, the mayor's daughter, is under the expansion curse. One keeps getting fatter and growing larger, and even though it doesn't hurt one's body, it stops you from moving. The mayor pleads with him to remove the curse. However, it seems impossible for Yuto unless he is an A-rank sorcerer. He can't save her even with his purified ogre water. The mayor notices his silence and fears that he would back out at any time. Just then, Lena starts to cry, much to Yuto's shock. This steals Yuto's resolve and he decides to help the girl. With this, he tells his sister and the mayor to leave the room so he can concentrate. The mayor agrees to his command, leaving Lena in his hands. He follows his gut and mixes his abilities to create a potent healing potion. He basically creates holy water, which can break the curse. He hopes that it will work and makes Lena drink the magic potion. Instantly, her body begins to glow, a sign that her curse is slowly being lifted. Meanwhile, outside the room, Tomas and Lily are patiently waiting, hoping for good news. Yuto then opens the door and reports that the healing is done, and the curse has already been lifted. Tomas runs inside the room frantically and immediately checks on his daughter. Although still enlarged, Lena feels better now and should go back to her original state soon. Tomas cries at the sight of his daughter getting better. Lily commends her brother for his amazing job. Curious, she asks how he undid the curse, and he gives her another vague reply, trying to downplay what he did. Later, they are finally inside their room. Lily plops onto the bed, excited to take a rest after a long day. Yuto tries to stop her, embarrassed in front of the mayor by her behavior. Tomas laughs and assures him that everything is fine. He saved his daughter's life, so they are very much welcome in his estate. Just then, the butler appears with a bag of gold coins in his hand. The mayor takes the reward and presents it to the young man, which amounts to 500,000 gilli. He jokes that he didn't want them worrying over the reward, so he is handing it to them now. For him, it isn't much after how Yuto saved his daughter, but the young man is very much pleased. Tomas tells him that he is the one who should be grateful, and then starts to leave so they can rest. Alone, the siblings stare at their golden reward. Since they have a big sum of money, Yuto thinks of saving a portion of it. He also tells his sister that they should decide how to spend it wisely since they still have to travel to Zexheim. Yuto shares that he wants to join a workshop and gain experience to be an item enhancement craftsman. According to the tavern lady earlier, there are many workshops he can join, and he's planning to start job hunting soon. However, there's one little problem. Yuto is in trouble. If anyone uses appraisal and checks his stats, they will discover his secret and will surely get him into trouble. He contemplates how to hide his stats. Seeing him troubled, Lily asks if Yuto is alright and offers that he take a bath first. Later, they take a bath together, with Yuto washing his sister's hair. He suggests that she enroll in a school in Zexheim. He tells her that she is built differently from him, with a much stronger and faster body. While she contemplates it, he explains that she can join the academy that trains adventurers. If she decides to go, it doesn't mean that she'll be an adventurer right away, and she can be whatever she wants. She can learn life skills for the real world. In this way, she can gain experiences and broaden her horizons. Lily pauses for a while and then enthusiastically announces that she wants to become an adventurer. Yuto supports her decision. The next day, the siblings bid goodbye to Mayor Tomas and thank him for his warm welcome. The old man is more than happy to accommodate them and wishes that they could have stayed longer. They wave goodbye to the mayor and proceed to the next town. They also receive monster-repelling charms from the mayor, which can protect them against lower-rank monsters. Since his weak stats make the charm useless, he gives his charm to Lily. Meanwhile, he secretly plans to enhance his charm with dark energy and turn it into a disguised talisman. He worries if this will look suspicious, but goes about it anyway. He tries to combine chaos and darkness and make them one to create another skill. He is thrilled when the skill concealment becomes disguise. He uses this to conceal his stats and keep appraisal users off his trail. After gaining a new status, he doesn't try to fake his stat values anymore. While he is busy with his system, Lily suddenly grabs his hand and points to the flourishing lush town below them. He confirms that it is Zexheim, the adventurer's city, and exactly where they're heading. Meanwhile, at Zexheim's west gate entrance, Sarah arrives at the gate hoping that Yuto hasn't arrived yet. Yuto and Lily finally reach the town of Zexheim through a carriage. They are immediately mesmerized by the hustle and bustle of the town. Remembering the gold coins they have, they head first to the bank. The bank manager welcomes them with a pleasant smile, ready to accommodate their needs. Yuto expresses that he would like to deposit some money, and the manager asks for his card. Confused, he asks what the card is since it is his first time at a bank. He just arrived in town moments ago and is still new to the rules. The manager assures him that he's fine and volunteers to explain the city's unique system as well. He then calls Sam, the bank teller assigned to him. The girl introduces herself to the siblings, who are quite surprised by her undersized appearance. She explains that she is human, hence the size, and that she is already 24 years old. She then guides them to another area where they will be making their new account at the bank. As they go through the process, she asks how much they are going to deposit. Yuto puts the 500,000 gilli on the table, much to the teller's surprise. She clears her throat to compose herself and informs him that if he'll deposit the full amount, he will receive 1 year of concierge service. With this, they can have free consultations on various things like housing. Yuto asks if he can consult about his sister's schooling as well, which Sam enthusiastically confirms. Hearing this, Yuto immediately decides to deposit the full amount. Before she proceeds with the process, she first explains the city's unique system. In their city, cash is generally not required. She then shows them a silver card called Gillica. They can use the card for transactions inside the city, which is safe since it has an identity verification function. They have the option to share the same card or make separate ones. She then puts his card on the table and makes him place his hand over it. This completes his identity registration and the money deposit. He then asks if he can enhance the Gillica card. She has never heard of anyone enhancing the card, so she isn't sure about it. He checks it through his system, but he can't actually find any particularly useful upgrade or enhancement for the card. Sam also informs him that she'll find housing that suits his preference and offers to show him around. He accepts her offer and promises to come by the next day at 9 in the morning. After accommodating their needs, she thanks them for their patronage and wishes them a good stay in their city. The siblings then head out to have lunch when Lily notices that there's a commotion going on. A girl looks like she's in trouble while talking to a party. As if on cue, the girl looks in their direction and cheerfully waves at them, much to their confusion. They ask each other if they know the stranger, but both of them have no clue. The girl proudly takes big strides in their direction, but they try to put distance between them and her. Yuto stands before his sister, protecting her from the strange woman. She then introduces herself as Sarah. She beams at them and asks if they could pretend to be her acquaintances for a while. Currently, she is in a dilemma since she just got registered as an adventurer, and now a bunch of B ranks are inviting her to their party. Yuto quietly contemplates that it must be good and an advantage for her. He tries to assess her status, but it's a bit hazy, so he can't really figure out her level. He intently looks at her, which seems a bit rude. He saves himself by saying that they're off to lunch and bids goodbye to get away from her immediately. With another sweet smile on her face, she volunteers to join them, much to his dismay. In a tavern, Sarah is thrilled to know that Yuto wants to become an item enhancement crafter. Yuto awkwardly thanks her for her enthusiasm while quietly assessing that she is seemingly not a bad person. However, he shifts his focus to her scepter and can see her impressive skills. He wonders who she could really be since it's his first time seeing a weapon that strong. Sensing the shift in his mood, she asks what's wrong, and he admits that he's intrigued by her scepter. She struggles to explain it, expressing that it's a family heirloom, and fails to provide more details. Yuto doesn't seem to be bothered by it, and assumes that she is part of a noble family who's out on an adventure and trying to hide her identity. On the other hand, she could be a wanted criminal on the run and concealing her identity. Maybe she stole the scepter from someone and is now using it as part of her plan to escape the authorities. Meanwhile, the two girls immediately bond over the food and begin celebrating over something, much to his confusion. As he gives them a questioning look, the two discuss their lodging later, with Lily offering to stay all together in one room. Unable to hold it back anymore, he asks what the two are talking about. His sister enthusiastically states that they're talking about sharing rooms, which Sarah graciously has accepted, thanking them for inviting her. Yuto smiles, clearly having no choice and feeling cornered. As they step out of the tavern, Sarah thanks them for treating her to a meal, glad that they allow her to stick around. To show her gratitude, she volunteers to look out for Lily while he journeys to find a job as an item enchanter. He turns to them one more time, worried about their safety. He contemplates once more Sarah's real identity, and how amazed he is that the scepter is a top-tier weapon. Even Lily, who's usually shy, took a liking to her, and she is incredibly kind. For now, he should focus on his own tasks. Additionally, he needs to find a job soon. He asks around to find a job, but the first man advises him to rank up first before dealing with item enhancement. The second guy suggests that he completely forget about specializing in the said skill unless he is an S rank. The third person tells him that it's inefficient compared to other skills, and since he is a crafter, he should build things from scratch. Yuto can only sigh after everything. As he leaves yet another room, he is so spent from the rejections he has received. While walking aimlessly, he feels frustrated by the fact that his target job isn't in demand at all and has lots of disadvantages. He expects to be rejected at the next shop again and begins to think if there's another thing he can do besides being an item enchanter. He begins to analyze how to get hired by acquiring new skills, and decides to use his remaining SP to promote himself to rank B. Carefully, he looks around, turns into a tight alley, and opens his system. He then calls Lily using his card. Lily, on the other side, is impressed that she can hear his voice. Once she confirms that it is really her brother, she listens intently to what he's saying. He talks in a hushed voice as he asks if there's anyone around her. She assures him that no one can hear her and that she's being quiet in a corner. If people see her, it seems like she has gone crazy and is talking to a card. With this, he shares that he has had no luck yet in finding a job and just wants to check on her. She cheers him up and states that he is going to be fine, adding that he invented their communication tool. He clarifies that he just used enhancement on the card and just realized something. He was just playing around with enhancing the Gillica card earlier and managed to add the communication skill to it, but right now, the realization hits him. He can really talk to his sister through the card even over long distances. He then flashbacks to the applications he did earlier and the frustrations that he felt. Every one of them doesn't know the value of enhancement and insists that he should have analysis skills that should go along with it. He remembers one person telling him that she has never seen a rank S in item enhancement and that they usually prioritize other skills since SP is hard to get. Looking at it now, he realizes that item enhancement isn't valued in town, This means he has no competition, and if one has no competition, it will likely be in demand. He has made magic swords and potent charms through enhancement before, and he is sure that he could make more items and improve them. With this, he decides that he's done with applications and thanks his sister for making him realize that he is opening his own shop. Elsewhere, Colas seems to be getting thrilled. Meanwhile, Sarah is still fending off adventurers trying to recruit her. At the Montenio Bank, Sam welcomes them again. The trio greets her back, and Yuto apologizes for asking such a sudden request. Sam assures them that it is nothing for her and that their clients' needs are the top priority. She then starts explaining the paperwork. She lays down papers on the table and shows them the properties she picked from different districts. She first presents the property near the North Block where most adventurers gather. Yuto acknowledges that it's a nice location, but the rent is out of budget. The South Block is the place where many rookie adventurers gather and has a reasonable price. However, it is too cramped for all of them. Sam also shows them properties from the Central District, but it is less bustling than the other areas. However, it offers access to every block, but is over the budget as well. Looking at the properties, Yuto comments that he has to ensure that they all have living space and split the rent. As he tells them that the East Block is cheaper, Sam leans toward him and whispers to him. She is curious about his living situation with Sira, and asks if he is aware of what kind of person she is. She has a black card, which means she might be someone from noble lineage. Sam expresses her worry that they will live with someone whose background is a total mystery. She issued the black card since she has no recorded issues but still has no idea who she is. She adds that Sira deposited a large amount of money a few days ago, and when she checks her information, no nobility matches her description in their system. There are also reports of her being seen with a top-tier adventurer known for being a lone wolf. Yuto wonders if someone is just hitting on her. The first time he met her, she was being harassed too, so it wasn't impossible that it was the case before. Just then, the two call them, declaring that they have found the right place for them. They discuss the layout to him, pointing out that the first floor can be the shop, while the second floor will be the living and dining area, and the third floor will have their separate rooms. Yuto agrees, adding that the location and the rent aren't so bad. Sam chimes in, saying that it's a bit of a peculiar property, as they refuse any tenant who doesn't specialize in item enhancement. This surprises the trio, and they somewhat find it odd. Later, the trio arrives at the property. It is quite huge, and obviously well kept. Yuto knocks on the door and slowly cracks it open when no one answers. Colas is waiting inside and welcomes him as her rare guest. Flustered, Yuto asks if she is the owner of the building. She answers yes, and without further discussion and screening, lets him rent her property. She extends her hand to him and shakes it, looking forward to being his neighbor. However, he still tries to offer to show his skill to her, but she declines, saying that he looks trustworthy enough. Besides, she can see that Sarah trusts him, so there shouldn't be a problem. Surprised, Yuto asks if they are friends. Sarah tries to subtly dodge it, saying that they're just acquaintances. To better talk with Yuto, Colas suggests that the two buy necessities first while she discusses things with the boy. Sarah whispers to her, reminding her not to do anything foolish. After the two leave, Colas introduces herself to Yuto as an alchemist, further explaining that she owns the alchemy shop and deals with different magic potions. However, looking at the empty shelves, Yuto wonders if this is true. Colas replies that because she is just a novice, it is hard for her to sell her potions, and she can only produce low-grade ones. He can see that it's true since her skills aren't high. Still, when he checks, the balance of her stats is strange, and it gets clouded every time he tries to further assess them. Sensing his pause, she asks why he is staring so hard at her. He immediately apologizes for spacing out. Understanding her dilemma, he knows that she wants him to enhance her potions, so she can sell them for a premium price. Wanting to test his ability, she brings out a potion and tells him to enhance it. She then proceeds to fetch more of them from her pouch. Yuto is amazed by the pouch, and thinks about whether he can use it to increase the volume of the potions. Colas encourages him to give it a try. As he stares at the potion in his hand, he focuses and concentrates. He contemplates which skills he should combine, and carefully selects the ones that can enhance the potion in his hand. After mixing the right skills, he gives the enhanced potion to Colas, who thinks that it now quintuples the healing and the price. She then asks if he has a high skill rank, but Yuto smoothly dodges the question. He then introduces another strong potion he enhanced that's effective against various monsters, and another one as a strong antidote essential for adventurers to conserve mana. Colas smiles at him, stating that he has a magnificent item enhancement power. Embarrassed, he thanks her for her kind words. 9. He then proceeds to enhance more potions for her, but decides to create them on his own so he can get away from prying eyes. She gives her antidote potions to him and asks him to enhance more items. She adds that 80% of the profit is for him, and that she will also give the large capacity pouches to him. She also tells him that if enhancing the pouches improves their performance, then she would want him to do it as well. Enthusiastic, he thanks her for the job and cheerfully takes it on, wanting it to be successful. Meanwhile, a bulging hand can be seen, with a weak voice whispering that they are counting on someone. Adventurers talk about the reinvestigation of the old fortress case. It is about the A-rank adventurers who went there but are still missing for 2 weeks. Sadly, the adventurers are now busy with the new dungeon, and no one wants to take the request. Besides, only an S-rank party could handle it. Meanwhile, Delk finds the request interesting. 1 week later, Yudo is thrilled that their shop earned 1 million gilli and is thriving. However, Colas observes that he doesn't seem to attract many customers. She suggests that they put a name out there since item enhancement isn't exactly mainstream. After hearing all her suggestions, he asks if she is there to make a request, which she answers no, and that she's merely bored. She adds that she's there to help him as her new neighbor, and to convince him to market his shop to attract more customers. In this case, he needs to change his approach. Rather than waiting for walk-ins, they should focus on enhancing their stock and displaying products in their shop for people to buy. They could also sell to wholesalers and retailers. Yudo finds this appealing since they can build a track record by procuring goods and get more commissions. In this way, his income will be stable, and he won't run out of the potions he can enhance, since she is only planning to run the shop as a hobby. Agreeing with her, he tells her that they should now procure some items. However, Colas first emphasizes that her goal is to make the business big. If Yudo has the same goal, he must think of a better way to procure items. He can choose to buy commissions from other stores or wholesalers. The second option is to defeat monsters and hire adventurers to collect the items. However, he can also do this himself if he starts investing in cheap gear and enhancing it. With this, he ultimately decides to defeat the monsters and gather the items himself. He thanks Colas for the ideas, and as they leave the shop, she notices that it's dead quiet. Yudo mentions that Lily is at school while Sarah went on an adventure with an old friend and won't be back for days. This makes Colas a little curious, and seeing her expression, he wonders if she will get lonely alone. She heads out first. Later, at the Droez Merchant Guild, Yudo roams his eyes around the general store. He's thrilled that it's filled with affordable items for beginners. He looks around to procure a weapon and notices an interesting sword in one corner. Upon checking it, he realizes that it's a copper sword, but its enhancement is mediocre. From what he learned, once an attribute is applied and completed, you can't enhance it with the same one. The only possible way is to remove the slot, but that would only be possible for S-rankers. In addition to this, experience and intuition are also necessary, and it is also possible to accidentally overwrite a different slot. So in the case of the copper sword, if he buys it at a cheap price, he can make a huge profit after enhancing it again. He looks around some more and assesses more weapons on different shelves. Just then, he sees a full plate armor standing in one corner of the shop. It is made of steel and costs 600,000 gold coins, and with its quality, this is a bargain. However, when he checks it, it was custom made and couldn't be enhanced the way the client wanted. He studies it some more, trying to figure out if it will fit a small frame like him since it looks big. But surprisingly, when he tests it out, it fits perfectly like it was made for him. However, just moments after fitting it, he feels how heavy the armor is. The shop owner expresses regret that it isn't the item for him, but to his surprise, Yudo wants to take it. He then hands over his silver card as the owner prepares the armor. Later, he struggles with carrying the box full of the items that he bought, including the steel sword. He can feel his arms starting to hurt. With this, he fetches the storage bag that he also bought, which can store large items. He then tries to insert the box inside the storage bag. Slowly, the box is absorbed inside, and this provides huge relief for him. Happy with his purchases, he now heads home. As he arrives at his shop, he sees that someone is in front of the store. As he nears, he can see that the person is in a cloak and wonders who it could be. Enthusiastically, he greets the person, thinking that she could be a customer. To his surprise, the girl suddenly hugs him, overwhelmed by joy and relief that she finally found him. Yudo is taken aback, wondering who she could be as she weeps tears of joy. She apologizes for overstepping his boundaries. He finally asks who she could be. She says that she expected he wouldn't recognize her because it is his first time seeing her in her original appearance. Something in Yudo clicks, and he realizes that she could be the mayor's daughter whom he healed. Lena confirms this with a huge smile on her face, thanking him for saving her life from the curse. They talk about her recovery over drinks. Unable to thank him enough, she offers to help him if ever he is in trouble and says she'll do anything for him. She tries to offer him some tips when it comes to dating older women like her, but he declines and instead asks how she got the bloating curse. She tries to recall what happened. As an adventurer, she took a job at an old fort, and apparently, there's a high-rank monster settled there. Since the fort is connected to the new dungeon, Gilgrim, she went there with an A-rank party. However, the last thing she remembers is being engulfed by a black mist, and then she lost consciousness. Fortunately, there was another party nearby who managed to rescue her, but the party she came with is still missing. She heard that there is an ongoing investigation request for it, but only one stepped up to the challenge. The mysterious adventurer is said to be a newcomer swordswoman who is highly skilled and always takes solo jobs. But since the enemy is a curse user, she must have brought a priest-type adventurer with her. She is said to be a noble's daughter and a newcomer as well. She wonders why the swordswoman would take someone who is also a newcomer. Remembering Sam's words about Sira, he asks for the name of the priest adventurer. Lena shares that the name of the swordswoman is Dalk, but doesn't remember the name of the priestess adventurer. She then bids him goodbye, apologizing for staying for a while and holding him off from his job. She waves goodbye and promises to come by again. Alone, he tends to the shop. He's thinking of helping with the mission, but also trusts that they can finish it on their own, and the best thing he can do right now is to believe in them. However, he can't stay away. So, he asks for Colus's help, and seemingly knowing what he wanted, the woman has already prepared the MP potions he was thinking of requesting. Confused, he asks how she knew. She reveals that the walls of the building are a bit thin, so she could overhear conversations from another room. A bit frustrated, he asks for high potions as well. She heeds his request, stating that she will do her best to help the two adventurers. Much to his confusion, she heads to the counter, and he follows her there. He is surprised to see a magic circle inside. She explains that it is a warp gate. Seeing the disbelief on his face, she offers to explain later and urges him to go inside so as not to waste time. Meanwhile, in the fort, Syra is preoccupied with healing those who are inflicted by the bloating curse. Just then, Dalk exclaims that she is hungry and can't take it anymore. Syra sighs, telling her to bear it a little longer. Dalk expresses concern that even for her, curing those who are inflicted might take some time. Sarah confirms this but remains dedicated to healing the adventurers trapped inside. Just then, someone attacks Dalk, who fortunately blocks it in time with her sword. They are quite surprised to see who their enemy is. Standing before them is a demon god in full armor. Meanwhile, Colus and Yuto are inside a forest, making their way to the fort. He expresses worry about whether they are heading in the right direction, but she assures him that they are fine. After a few moments, they finally arrive at their destination. He wonders if Sarah is really inside, but Colus reminds him to stay sharp and focus on their mission. She also tells him to be careful about breathing in the black mist, since it can drain his HP. However, eyeing his armor, this shouldn't be a problem. Hearing this, he wonders if she noticed that he upgraded the armor. He flexes in his armor and looks at the upgrade, and within moments he manages to envelop them in a bright light. Colus comments that it's a low-tier version of Sarah's sanctuary skill that should protect them from the black mist. Yuto tells her that she doesn't have to put herself in danger and come to such a dangerous place, but she assures him that she can manage. They step into another room and see that the mist is thick, making it hard to see anything. Proceeding with caution, they walk further and are surprised by a horde of monsters waiting for them. Yuto instantly panics, and the two start to run. Meanwhile, Dalk is still busy fighting the demon while Sarah concentrates. She swings her sword toward the enemy, and the demon is thrown to the other side of the room. She sighs, relieved that it wasn't a true demon after all, or else they would be in serious trouble. However, the enemy slowly revives, and she starts to get annoyed. Sarah understands, but she is almost done with the treatment, so she needs Dalk to hold on. The girl sighs again, wishing she had the holy attribute to finish the fight in one blow. Meanwhile, Yuto and Colus are still running for their lives, but this time Yuto is carrying her away from the monsters. He expresses worry that they might catch up to them, but she assures him that they are quite slow. Another problem is that the mist is getting thicker, and he doesn't know how long his shield will last. She teases him that they can go back if he likes, but he vehemently disagrees and runs faster than before. They enter a room but can barely see inside because of the dark mist, so they don't realize that Sarah and Dalk are inside. Yuto sees the silhouette of the enemy ahead. At this rate, they are cornered, making it hard to escape. However, Colus points out that the monsters are too afraid to enter the room because of the boss of the fort. They stand in one corner and watch the boss. Yuto checks his stats, and is shocked by how strong he is. Although the boss has no magic power, his physical stats definitely pose a threat. Just then, Syra is surprised to see him inside the fort. Yuto notices that she is tending to the missing party members from Lena's group who were inflicted by the same curse. Dalk greets him, introducing herself as an adventurer. He figures that she must be the infamous adventuring partner of Sarah, but comments that she's a bit flashy. However, this is not the time for greetings, since the boss of the fort is still standing. Colus finds it interesting that the demon god's armor turned into a monster, which explains why Dalk is struggling. She further explains that the demon god's mana accumulated inside the armor and began acting on its own, becoming a remnant of the demon god. But even as a remnant, this is an S-rank level threat. Since Sarah is busy healing, Yuto is the best person to fight the boss. Yuto freaks out upon hearing this, and Colus tries to calm him down. She calmly tells him that this isn't the time to be indecisive, as the monster is heading their way. As the boss takes big strides toward them, Colus laughs and mentions that he's being singled out. Since he has no choice, he grips his sword and reinforces it with the earth element to increase its durability. After upgrading it, he uses it to block the boss's attack. Although the sword withstands it, the impact sends him to the other side of the room. The boss grabs him by the throat, suspending him in the air. He sees that his armor's HP is steadily dropping because of the boss's skill. This poses a threat because his armor will melt if it drops to 0. He wonders if there's anything more he can do since his armor is slowly fading away. He checks the armor's status again and finds out that it was once used by the demon god Belial. He contemplates filling all the slots with the holy element to break the curse and eventually sell it, but that would be dangerous. However, he realizes that it can definitely work if he upgrades the slots, and that is exactly what Collis is trying to tell him. He pushes himself not to panic and upgrades the sword like he usually does. He needs to trust himself. He unlocks the upgrade slot and selects the maximum stat. The boss shrieks and releases him. He looks at the boss, who appears overwhelmed, and smirks. He has clearly won the fight. The three girls smile as the boss ultimately falls to the ground. Dalk approaches him and praises his skills, saying he is pretty amazing. The other two also find him impressive and congratulate him on defeating the monster. Yuto thanks them, saying that it was all because of Collis's advice. He suddenly sneezes. Without his armor, he's only wearing thin clothes. Collis points out that there's something he can wear and gestures toward the demon god's armor. He weighs his options since technically it is worn-out cursed armor. He tries to empty the slots and improve the stats. He adds the right attributes to make it lighter. With this, even his weak stats might be manageable. He then wears the armor and pauses for a while. He is shocked when he realizes that his arms have become longer, and it seems like the effect adjusts the wearer's body to fit the armor. He finds this strange since it should be the other way around. He tells himself that he'll get used to it. As he turns around, he notices monsters waiting at the door. Collis sighs. Things still haven't settled down, and it looks like their numbers have increased. Dalk volunteers to deal with them and springs into action. However, since there are quite a lot of monsters, she asks for his help. Confused, Yuto hesitates to move. Collis urges him to help, adding that with his current stats, he can certainly provide support, and he should make use of the magic armor. Encouraged, he picks up the sword from the ground and lunges toward the monsters. Meanwhile, a healed girl slowly opens her eyes and freaks out upon seeing the same armor that attacked her. Seeing the fear in her expression, Sierra assures her that the man inside is not the one who attacked her. She finds it hard to believe that someone defeated the armor and claimed it. Since all the A-rank adventurers were swiftly defeated, she is also surprised that the black mist is gone. Sarah assures her that they will deal with the remaining monsters. The girl slowly closes her eyes and freely weeps, thankful that she is finally free. After defeating all the monsters inside the fort, the party returns to town. Rumors about how they rescued the missing adventurers begin to spread. People talk about how heroic Sarah and Dalk were, including the mysterious Black Knight. Meanwhile, in their lodging, Lily serves her brother a scrumptious meal. Impressed, he starts to dig in and comments that Sarah will surely love it. The door suddenly opens, and they are about to welcome Sarah when they realize she is not alone since Dalk and Collis are with her. Sarah apologizes for the sudden intrusion. The two are very excited to eat, wondering if there is enough food for everyone. Since they prepared booze, Dalk shares it with Lily while the two of them talk about cooking. Wanting to ask Sarah something, Yuto turns to her but sees that she is already drunk. She claims she's fine, so he asks about the Black Knight rumors spreading around town. Dalk replies that since it seemed like he wanted to keep his identity a secret, they tried to protect him by calling him the Black Knight. However, he worries that this might cost them the reward, since they need to report the whole incident to the guild. She assures him that they receive the reward and gives him his share of 100,000 gilli. He thanks them for the reward, and they all smile at him for providing excellent support during the fight. He lets himself smile at them, thinking that they are the people he can truly trust. With this realization, he decides to be honest and tells them the secret about his ability. After hearing him out, the ladies pretend that they didn't already know. Collis suggests that he make the truth public so he would be flooded with business deals. He refuses to do this since it would cause an uproar. Instead, he cheerfully tells them that he wants to become an adventurer and make a name for himself. They are all surprised by his decision. Sarah asks why he raised his item enhancement skill to S rank. He replies that he needs to make the strongest gear first, which frustrates the three ladies. They all find this unexpected since they thought he would become an enhancement crafter. Still, they decide to cheer him on, saying that he's impressive. He thanks them for their support. Dalk offers to teach him combat techniques. Sarah offers her unwavering support. Lily volunteers to join his party, and Collis offers her wisdom. Yuto thanks them again, and together they celebrate his new beginning. His life as a crafter is surprisingly going well, and he is ready to move forward. The next morning, Yuto opens his eyes and is surprised that it is morning already. He remembers staying up late last night and feels someone draping their arms over him. Thinking it must be Lily, he gently reprimands her for being in his bed again. However, to his surprise, it was Collis who was sleeping with him all night. Just then, Sarah bursts inside together with Lily, who announces that breakfast is ready. The two girls quarrel as Lily helps her brother change his clothes. Dalk enters the room as well after hearing their commotion. She greets Yuto and mentions that she stayed with Sarah last night. They all dig into Lily's prepared breakfast and praise her excellent cooking skills. After eating breakfast, Lily heads out to school, leaving her brother with the three ladies. Dalk asks what his plan is now, saying that to be an adventurer, he needs to have proper equipment. He agrees to this, but since decent gear is expensive, he has to save up first. They also advise him to learn some combat skills and raise his base stats to handle strong weapons. He plans on hunting for materials, enhancing them, and selling them. He can also fight monsters for free drops and raise his stats. The three girls agree with his plan and promise to support him. He then receives a message from Lily saying she forgot her assignment paper and asking him to bring it to her during lunch. Sensing urgency, he prepares to bring it to his sister. Curious, the two girls ask about his Gilka card after seeing him use it for messaging. He reveals that he enhanced it to allow calls, then used chaos to add messaging. They all find him amazing since it is more discreet than calling. Additionally, he can just exchange messages with anyone. The three admit that it is useful but worry about exposing his special ability. Colas chimes in, saying that he truly has talent in creating new items. She advises that he monopolize this and experiment more with common items. Dalk then tells him to make a card for herself, and the others request the same thing. They all give him their black cards so he can enhance them. He warns that they will not be black anymore, and promises to make them enhanced versions. But first, he needs to grab Lily's assignment and enters her room. He finds creepy-looking toys inside, and beside them is her assignment paper. It contains essential questions about adventuring, and he realizes that it must be the reason she sought Colas's help. Since his knowledge is lower, she must have thought he would not be able to answer the questions. He tells himself that he must keep improving. He then starts enhancing the Gilka cards he has. Later, after announcing that he is home, he excitedly hands them the enhanced cards. They all try them out and send messages to him out of excitement. Yuto lets out a sigh of relief after making it in time for Lily's lunch break. The school is huge, and the top students get their entrance exams waived, of which Lily was included as a top-tier student. Yuto smiles to himself, proud of his little sister. Just then, Lily arrives and apologizes for making him come all that way. She then introduces her friend, who is visibly wary of Yuto. Lily assures her that her brother is harmless. The girl finally introduces herself as Kat. Yuto greets her back, and she instantly hides behind Lily. He is surprised that they hit it off, given that they are both introverts. He hands the assignment to her. Just then, another girl named Erica appears and reprimands him for trespassing, threatening to call security. Lily tells her that Yuto is her brother. This fact contorts Erica's face with disgust, as she asks if he has some kind of fantasy toward young girls. However, with resolve, he states that he and Lily are siblings, albeit coming from different races. Lily explains that he is only bringing her the assignment that she forgot. With this, Erica asks him to leave after giving Lily the assignment and tells the two girls not to skip their practical skills class. She then turns to Kat and tells her to improve her practical skills, calling her a shame to elves. She tells her to focus and eat properly, so she can finally get a recommendation. Kat immediately starts crying and apologizes to her. Erica is taken aback and tells her to stop with the waterworks. Overwhelmed, she tells her to pull herself together and make sure to excel in their next class, then runs off. Worried, Yuto asks if Kat is okay. Kat confirms, sharing that she and Erica are childhood friends. Erica turns out to be the princess of the Elven Kingdom, but was removed from the line of succession because of her siblings. So she decided to be an adventurer instead. She then followed her friend and enrolled in the same school. Yuto finally understands that Erica is just harsh because she is worried about Kat and asks about the recommendation. The two explain to him that during their practical class, they have to fight the instructors and win. However, Kat is not agile and can only charge and try to overpower her opponent. She also cannot use healing magic and can only drink potions, which immediately wear off. He then hands her a potion and has her try it out. She is surprised by this, but agrees to drink it. Later, Yuto is finally home after a long day. He greets his sister and asks about her practical test, but to his surprise, Kat expresses her gratitude instead, saying that she got a passing grade for the first time. He watches as the two recount how great Kat did in her practical test. He did not expect that memories from his past life would be so useful. Curious, they ask when he got the potent potion. He shares that he just recently made it, and that it automatically heals the moment one's HP drops by 50. He also thanks Kat because he was able to test it before selling it. Kat is thrilled to hear this, and even shares that she received words of praise from Erica as well. The three are just happy that everything went well for everyone. Yuto yawns while waiting for Mr. Guile in his shop. The man then approaches him after testing his products. The shop owner tells him to bring as many potions as he can, since they are the most popular item they have now. The man prepares to pay, and when he hands his card to Yuto, he clumsily drops it. Guile picks up the card, asking if he is okay, since he has been bringing in large batches of potions lately. Yuto assures him that he is fine and just a bit sleepy. The man tells him to slow down a bit and observes that the potions are starting to sell out more slowly. Since they are pricier than standard potions, they are not the first pick of customers. This only shows that the market is getting oversaturated. Guile offers to help him in any way since he was the one who helped his daughter, Kat. He shares that thanks to his introduction to Dalk, Kat's swordsmanship skills have greatly improved. Being humble, Yuto tells him that Kat has the talent to begin with. Guile laughs and agrees. After all, she is his daughter. He expresses that if someone lays a hand on his daughter, he will not be merciful. Later, as he walks home, Yuto feels fatigue. He checks his stats, and it shows that he is overworked. If this continues, he could die from losing too much HP. He starts to panic, If he catches another disease, he might just drop dead. Since he has been killed by flying dragons 3 times, he feels that it is not impossible. Sarah welcomes him home, and he thanks her for tending to the shop while he was gone. Noticing his fatigue, she comments that he looks in bad shape. He confirms this and states that he is overworked. Just then, he slowly loses consciousness and wonders if he is dying again. When he opens his eyes, he is shocked to be surrounded by dragons. The creatures mention how worried they are and reprimand him for pushing himself too hard. Taken aback, Yudo wonders if he is already dead or just dreaming. He tries to recall if he was run over by dragons again, just like the last time he died. The dragons in front of him ask if he is hungry, offering him utmost care now that he is sick. A sudden chill runs through his body. It feels like deja vu, and images of Sarah, Colas, and Dalk's faces flash in his mind. He must be really overworked to hallucinate this way. One of the dragons tries to feed him, but he declines. However, the soup looks inviting, and Sarah's face flashes into his mind. With this, he takes a spoonful of the soup and comments on how delicious it is. Someone moves from behind him, remarking that he is still flushed. When he turns, he is shocked to see Colas beside him again. Sleepy, she comments that he seems to have recovered well after a good rest. He then checks his stats and sees that he is recovering from fatigue and not overwork. He finds this strange and wonders if he misread it the first time. However, if he were recovering from overwork, it would take days for him to heal. Just then, Kat and Erica enter the room and are shocked to see him sleeping beside Colas. They freak out, calling him improper, while he tries to tell them that it is all just a misunderstanding.